Every time I go on a business trip, I have flashbacks. This was a long time ago, but I used to have a wife. My ex-wife was originally a receptionist at a client company. She was lively like a female broadcaster, but at the same time, she looked very innocent. I fell in love with her at first sight. Every time I went to the client's office, I would always think of some conversation topic so that she would remember my face. I was desperate. Soon, we discovered that we had some common interests. We became friends and shortly after, decided to date. I was so happy at the time that I shed tears of joy, and we got married after 2 years of dating because my ex-wife wanted to wear a wedding dress while she was still 25 years old. She looked beautiful as a bride. She quit her job and became a full-time housewife after marriage. She cooked delicious and healthy meals, and she cared for my health. My ex-wife, who loved housework, was also a good cleaner. I had nothing to complain about. I was truly proud of my wife. She had a happy married life. After the move and the wedding, when life had settled down a bit, my ex-wife asked me to do a bridal checkup. What's a bridal checkup, you say? In short, it's a health check for men and women before marriage. Recently, not only women, but also men do bridal checkups to make sure that they don't have diseases that could interfere with pregnancy or childbirth. This is usually supposed to be done before marriage. It was difficult for me to find the time to do this, and I felt uneasy about going for the test alone, so my ex-wife suggested that I go for a checkup with her at the time, when we were more settled. To be honest, it didn't really hit me, but then I remembered a story about a friend and her husband who got married around the same time as us and went for the checkup. Eventually, I gladly agreed to my ex-wife's suggestion. We made an appointment at the hospital and completed the test. I had to go back to the hospital to find out the results of the test. The test results came back at the same time for both of us, but I was on a business trip at the time, so my ex-wife's results came before mine. My ex-wife's test results showed no abnormalities. I can have a child with a peace of mind. I was also relieved to see my ex-wife happy as she said this. I didn't have my own test results yet, but I thought I'd be okay too. I didn't have any evidence to back it up, but I was pretty relieved already. And a while later, when the rush of business trips had calmed down, I was finally able to go to the hospital, and the results were unbelievable. I was diagnosed as azoospermia. I couldn't have children. I was shocked. I didn't think it would be me, but reality was cruel. I looked over the test results again and again. No, that's impossible. It was hard for me to accept the truth. My ex-wife loved children and was really looking forward to having a baby soon. She was an only child, so she said she'd always wanted a sibling. I've never seen her talk happily about such things, so if she found out I couldn't have children, she might leave me. Even though I knew I had to tell her the truth, I couldn't find the courage to do so. On the day I heard the test results, I couldn't think straight, and I was mentally depressed. I decided to refrain from telling her until I had sorted things out. Well, on that day, I couldn't stop crying because I couldn't accept the reality that I would not be able to have a child that my wife had longed for so much, that I might have to leave the woman I love. I couldn't sort it all out in one day. Fortunately, I didn't tell her that I was going to get the test results that day, so I didn't say anything when I got home. It was difficult for me to go home. I had cried in the car for hours before I actually did. I was thinking a lot of things, but I don't know what I actually thought or did. Even though I came home later than usual, my ex-wife was waiting for me with dinner. I almost cried because of how she treated me so well and my own inadequacy. But somehow I managed to hold it together, but I just couldn't behave as usual. My ex-wife was worried about my unusual behavior. Women have an amazing ability to sense such things, don't they? I managed to cover it up by saying it was because I made a mistake at work. From then on, I was just spacing out all the time, not only in front of my ex-wife, but also at work. You've been acting strange lately. What's going on? One of my coworkers asked me. I let out all of my feelings and told him I felt guilty for not being able to tell my partner the truth because of my ego. Tears spontaneously fell down my cheeks as I spoke, but my coworker treated me as if he didn't see it. He took me seriously and confronted me. I knew I felt better when I told him everything I had been thinking in my head. My coworker told me, I don't blame your wife for divorcing you, but you should be brave enough to tell them as soon as possible. So I decided to tell my ex-wife the truth that day. I just concentrated at work that day and left work early. At that time, overtime work was the norm, and it was impossible for me to leave on time, but on that day, I was able to leave on time, a rare occurrence. I had no choice but to divorce my wife if that was the result of our talk. I still loved my ex-wife, so I believed I should tell her how I feel. Thinking that, I bought a bouquet of flowers on the way home. My house is in a residential area. I bought the house because I liked the quiet neighborhood with only a few pedestrians. As I approached my house, I saw a strange car parked in the parking lot. I wondered if she was having friends over. I tried to call my ex-wife, but she didn't answer the phone. I was not in the mood for a pleasant conversation with a stranger, so I decided to wait in the parking lot of a nearby park. I couldn't reach her after a while, so I got out of my car and went to see if I could park my car to see the owner of the car just coming out the front door. It was someone I knew. He was a big guy from a client company where my ex-wife worked as a receptionist. I remember one of the female employees commenting on how good he looked with his beard. I ducked for cover. I thought he had a middle school daughter. I was confused as to what was going on and just watched. Then, my ex-wife came out the front door later and hugged the guy as he got into the car, and they were kissing. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was pretty deep. So passionate you could see it from a distance. I was frozen. I didn't know what that meant. Anyway, from the way they said their goodbyes, it seemed like they had been in a relationship for a long time. How long had they been in a relationship? I didn't even have the strength to wipe away the tears that were welling up in my eyes. I went back to my car, but I couldn't go home right away, so I ended up going back to the office. Even though I had made it home without working overtime, my co-workers were concerned about my strange behavior upon my return and invited me out for a drink. I just cried while drinking. My co-worker listened to me the whole time. It was midnight when I came home using an Uber. My ex-wife was asleep. As I looked at her sleeping face, I started to see a different person from the woman I had seen before. I remember that she had a pretty face, but she looked so ugly. At the same time, I became disappointed. How long had I been deceived? It's been more than a year since my ex-wife quit her job. I took a bridal check 2 months ago. Why did my ex-wife make such a proposal to me when she was cheating on me? Was she going to have my baby while cheating on me? I couldn't have myself just ending the relationship as is, so I decided to get revenge. From then on, life with my ex-wife was just a living hell. It was really hard for me to treat her as if nothing was wrong. I often had to work overtime to make sure we had as little time together as possible. I needed to gather evidence of the affair, so I tried gathering information from people around me, but it seemed like they were doing a good job of hiding it. It was difficult to gather any evidence. Then I was offered a 3-night business trip. I thought to myself that this is my chance. If I was going to be gone for 3 days, he would probably come home for at least 1 day. So I planted a camera in my bedroom. When I returned home after my business trip, I immediately retrieved the camera and returned to my car to check the footage, saying I had left something in there. Sure enough, the data clearly showed the two of them, and I could hear them talking in the quiet room. It's amazing how well modern cameras pick up sound. Then, my ex-wife in the footage said something that left me speechless. "It's great to see you like this on our 4-year anniversary." I kept replaying it over and over. I'm sure I heard her correctly. She'd been in a relationship with this man for 4 years. She had that, but dated me and married me. And then I saw them in the video, on the bed, an intense, passionate embrace. The boldness and blatantness of it all made me want to throw up. I finally had more than enough evidence, and I returned home. As soon as I got home, my ex-wife suddenly said that she needed to talk to me. I didn't know what it was. Did the hospital tell her about my test results? If she did, it would hurt me in the divorce. But I don't have a choice. Nonetheless, she can't change the fact that I cheated on her. I wait in the living room for my ex-wife to pick up something while I'm thinking about all this. Then she returned with an envelope in her hand. What she took out was a photo of our child. "I'm pregnant. The doctor calculated that I'm almost 3 months pregnant. I've always had irregular menstrual periods, so I didn't notice it at all. I don't have any symptoms like nausea at all, so I don't really feel it." She went on chatting happily. Of course, I could hardly hear what she was saying. I burst out laughing. I think something broke inside me. Right then and there, I didn't know what was funny to me, but I couldn't stop laughing. It was just funny. My ex-wife didn't understand what was going on, and she got angry. "What's so funny? It's your child, you and me. The fruit of our love is here, in my belly. Touch it. Here's our baby, alive." What the hell is she talking about? I finally stopped laughing and was finally able to confess that I was azoospermic. Then my ex-wife's expression suddenly stiffened. She was speechless. She didn't seem to understand. I showed her the results of the test and explained to her that I had been diagnosed with azoospermia with the specific numbers. I can't have a child, but then whose child is this? The fruit of your love with whom? I asked with a big smile on my face. No, it's not true. I think those test results are wrong. Let's go to another hospital and have another examination together. She was obviously desperate to make excuses. Since she was not willing to admit it, I also showed her the footage from the camera, which was the conclusive evidence. Then my ex-wife collapsed on the spot and burst out in tears. Well, I'm the one who wants to cry though. How long have you known about him? My ex-wife asked. To that I replied, well, it was your 4-year anniversary, wasn't it? Congratulations. With that, I turned in the completed divorce papers to my ex-wife. She filled them out right in front of me. I took the signed divorce papers from her for me to submit. Please communicate with my lawyer if you need anything. With that, I left the house. After that, of course the divorce was granted. I was also able to request alimony from my ex-wife. My ex-wife's affair partner, who was a senior executive at the client company, also ended up divorcing his wife as well. I heard he was charged a very high alimony. Well, it's no surprise that I was the one who sent her the video footage that could be considered the definite proof. Of course, I reported it to his company too. I have seen him many times at his office, so they dealt with it smoothly. They were a good company, after all. I'm grateful for that. He wants to resign from his position at the company, but he couldn't because being unemployed when he has the baby and has to pay alimony was just a nightmare. The child is innocent, so I hope they raise him or her well. By the way, the house I bought when I got married still has a mortgage, so I decided to rent it out. I feel like a landlord. While I do that, I live alone in a nearby apartment. The renters are a very nice family, and their child likes me very much. I realize that even though my body can't help children, just having the opportunity to interact with them makes me happy. Now, I am happy in my own way. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you again. Please subscribe to our channel.